So the flowers the Girl Scout troop planted continue to amaze me. So I felt like this video needed a brief introduction as I'm trying to appeal to a broader audience based on its style. So I hope you find this video entertaining, educational, and gives us all a greater appreciation for native plants. I've learned a lot on this journey, but in this episode, I'll change the way you look at the natural world. Are you ready to enter the green matrix? I hope I have enough experience to do this subject justice. This may be the most important video I've ever made, therefore I'm hoping it's shared with as many people as possible. I thought I knew how to support wildlife and nature, but I was missing one main component, which I will share with you, but only if you want. All I offer is knowledge and a new view of the world around you. Once you choose, there is no going back. The green pill contains powerful knowledge which will help you in plant selection, as you will see them in a completely different light and understand their purpose. Maybe you're just not ready to make changes yet. The black pill reinforces the social norms and continues the crushing pressure on the natural world from the human species. Choose wisely. The green pill will call you to make changes, which will be very rewarding, but challenging at times. Take the black pill, turn off this video, and nothing changes. You see the world as you always have. Take the green pill and follow me. As simple as this subject may appear, it's complex. And just because you commit to planting natives, it's not easy to accomplish, as you'll see. I admit, I didn't understand the importance of native plants or the negative impact of non-native plants until just a couple of years ago. I guess you could say I've recently taken the green pill. Let's start with the most obvious question. What is a native plant? An oversimplified definition would be an indigenous plant of a particular region or ecosystem that evolved over thousands of years without human introduction. It's stated that plants that were here in North America prior to the European settlers' arrival are native. In the US, it's estimated there are between 17,000 and 20,000 vascular native plants. The U.S. Forestry Service estimates there's 4,000 non-native plants in the U.S., and 400 are considered invasive. The data ranges depending on your source, but it's way too many, and it's the reason I'm removing this non-native Japanese jasmine ground cover. So what? Why is a native plant important? Native plants represent the first level of the food web in an ecosystem. All plants use water and carbon dioxide to form carbohydrates and sugars. But each plant is unique, not only in the way it looks, but also its chemistry. And this is what I did not understand, nor have an appreciation for the impact on wildlife. Maybe one of the easiest ways to think about plant chemistry is taste or smell. Whether it's garlic, an onion, apple, cinnamon, pepper, peanuts, or peanut butter, or carrot, those unique smells and tastes are a result of the chemistry of that individual species. But there are other plants which have adapted that we can't eat or that are uncomfortable to be around. Example, nightshade or poison ivy. I'm sure you can come up with a lot of other options. Plants have been evolving for hundreds of millions of years. But why do plants and other living creatures adapt and evolve over time? To ensure their species' survival. Through natural selection, offspring that survive pass their genes along to future generations. This can cause small changes to a plant species over a long period of time. We need to talk a little bit about the small changes in plant chemistry over thousands, if not millions of years, and how natural selection impacts that plant chemistry and why. But I need somebody to help me with this story. There's a battle going on between plants and the creatures that eat them. Plants can't run away from their predators, but one strategy they employ is to change their chemistry. This is their story. So let's imagine that there's a plant species called Bob. And Bob lives in an ecoregion among many other plants over hundreds of thousands of years. Now let's also imagine that there's an insect called Janet. Janet lives in the area and eats all of the plants, including the Bob plant. The Janet insect loves to eat the Bob plants because it's vibrant green color, it tastes good, and it's easy to digest. At some point in time, one of the Bob plants generates seed with a small mutation. The offspring have a slight red hue and have a faint bitter taste. So the Janet insects are out eating in the area and come across these new offspring, which we're going to call gym plants. They take a bite and they recognize it's slightly bitter and a little bit of a red hue. They don't like it. And so they move away from the gym plants and continue eating the other plants, including the vibrant Bob plants. This is a major win for the gym plants, just based on a very small change. Less insects are eating them, and they start to thrive. So as time passes, one of the Janet insects has offspring which also contain a small mutation, and we'll call them Jane. And the Janes like a little bit of a bitter taste, and therefore they start to eat the gym plants. So if you continue to cycle through this story over a long period of time, with the gym plants continuing to get more and more bitter, and the Jane insects continuing to evolve, enjoying a more bitter plant, at some point in time the Jane insects may become dependent on the gym plant. The gym plant has become the host of the Jane insect. I know that story was way oversimplified, but the point was to help us all understand how special these creatures are and how long it took for them to develop to be a part of our world. Think of humans as generalists. We can eat a variety of foods. But 80% of insects are specialists. They rely on one or a small family of plants as their food. The plant that a specialist relies on is called a host plant. The most familiar relationship between a specialist and a host plant is probably the monarch butterfly caterpillar and milkweed. If you remove the host plant, you eliminate the life cycle of the specialist that relies on it for food. Today I planted some swamp milkweed in an attempt to help the monarch butterfly. The amount of milkweed available to monarch butterflies has continued to decline. This is due to the conversion of land into agricultural uses and development. In addition, we increasingly have mowed fields and/or treat with herbicides. So it shouldn't be surprising that we've seen the monarch butterfly population decrease for decades and is currently at extremely concerning levels. What's exciting is that you can help the monarch butterfly by planting local native milkweed. It's become very popular to plant tropical milkweed, and this may not be in the best interest of the monarch butterfly. So I'll let you do your own research, and maybe I do a video on that in the future, but plant local native milkweed and support the monarch butterfly. To support local wildlife, it's important to plant a variety of native plants, not just milkweed for monarch butterflies, but a variety of plants to support a broad spectrum of insects and wildlife. So this yard or garden looks very different than most. And the main reason is these are primarily native plants. Unfortunately, the human species has decided that it's socially desirable to have plants from other parts of the world. And these foreign plants don't support local insect populations, the food web, or wildlife. So I've been presenting this subject from a very US-centric perspective, but it's an issue around the world. We continue to import plants to our local locations based on beauty or some other aspect, and it's having a devastating effect on the local food web. It's critical that everyone around the world understands that they need to plant native plants based on their local location. It wasn't that many years ago that I used to select plants based on what I like to look at. Now I try to select plants with a purpose. This cardinal flower is sitting in the stream, hopefully sucking up nutrients, preventing or reducing the amount of algae. But more importantly, it's the host plant for the spicebush swallowtail. There are also a couple moths that use it. I also have a spicebush in the garden. Now I haven't seen spicebush caterpillars yet, but given time, I'm hopeful that I will be supporting the life cycle of the spicebush swallowtail. Songbird populations may be like the canary in the coal mine. Songbird populations are down 70 to 90% depending on the species. And there are a number of contributing factors, but one of the most important is a specific food source. 95% of birds feed their young caterpillars, high in calories, proteins, and fats, and easy to digest. Lack of caterpillars or low population of caterpillars means that many of the bird nests will fail to produce offspring. This delicate little plant is black dahlia, and it's got these little purple flowers, and these big bumblebees come every day and get the nectar out of those flowers. It took 2 years before they flowered, but that's kind of the way native perennials are. They take a couple years to get going. So you may be saying, hey, I have a bird feeder that I put seed in and the birds eat it. And sure, birds will eat seeds during the winter when there's no insects, but just as man can't live by bread alone, birds can't live by seed alone, particularly baby birds. When I first learned about native plants, I walked around my original yard with a plant app identifying the plant and where they were from. I was shocked that almost 100% of the plants in my yard were non-native. This is Turk's cap, a native plant, and the host plant for the Turk's cap white skipper butterfly. So sometimes I'm just overwhelmed by what the garden shows me. As I was setting up for this scene, I noticed a hummingbird on the Turk's cap. They love it and they're here all the time. But then I also look at plants because I've planted them for specific purposes. This is a pawpaw tree, and I planted it because I want to encourage the tiger swallowtail. I've never seen one in the area, but I still was hoping. And I was looking, I always look at, are any of the leaves being eaten? And I noticed a leaf over there that's half gone, and sure enough, there's a caterpillar. Now I've looked at it, it's not a zebra swallowtail, but I think it's a pawpaw sphinx moth, which I've never seen the butterfly, but there's the caterpillar, which I'll show you in a moment. I have many flowering plants in my garden, and the bees love them, and many of the bees are honeybees. Did you know that honeybees are not native to the U.S.? They actually came to the U.S. from Europe with the settlers. Native bees pollinate 80% of the flowering plants in the U.S. And many of these are fruits, nuts, and vegetables that we enjoy. Native bees need native plants to complete their life cycle in many cases. Just one more reason to plant native plants. So I've always loved nature and wanted to support it. So how did I end up with a yard full of non-native plants originally? So the first challenge I have for you is to identify the plants in your yard. If you had a landscaper put in the plants, or you didn't specifically outline what plants you wanted included, I can tell you you're not going to like the results of this exercise. Just download a plant identification app, figure out what the plant is, and then Google where it's native. I'm betting that 95+% of those plants in your yard are not native. So don't feel bad if your yard is 100% non-natives. But the second part of this challenge is to add a couple native plants and see what happens. I think you'll be amazed. So when I started this journey to transform my yard, I visited many large big box stores with garden centers, and including a regional plant nursery. And you know what I found? No native plants. So let's take a little trip and see if they're doing any better.
Chinese holly. I guess it shouldn't surprise me, it's from China. I was able to find some Texas sage. Boxwood is from Europe, Asia, and Africa.
It is disappointing that still 95% of the plants in big box stores are not native, but I am starting to find some, and that's a start. There are other encouraging signs. H-E-B, a regional grocery store, has teamed up with the Native Plant Society to offer a range of native plants available both in the spring and the fall. So you can see it can be a little frustrating to find native plants in your area. So what I recommend is you contact the Native Plant Society and ask for their help. Maybe you're the one that helps people understand they need to take the green pill. Till the next time we're together, enjoy the wildlife around your home as they come to the buffet of native plants you've provided. Take care.